Brian McKnight disowned his own kids and then blamed them for him not calling them. Man, listen, I think I'm really the only person who can actually make y'all see both sides. And it's all broken down in translation. I think you all agree. Take a listen.
Your father said something that stuck with me. It was honestly the most enduring memory I have from the interview that he did. He said he believes that Nico's death was preventable and that you all martyred him.
Do you understand how unbelievable that is?
That when I heard that,
As
there's no other way to explain that as a mom than diabolical.
yeah, it's evil.
That is evil. I moved. First of all, my son, he at that age, the diagnosis, which I want a lot of people to understand, which is a movement that he and his wife, we want to be very clear that when young people are diagnosed with colon cancer, by the time they're diagnosed, they are stage 4. Mm-hmm. So when the comment was made that he was diagnosed and then he was dead.
Right. He said that the evidence shows that if you catch it at stage 1,
he was diagnosed at stage.
If you catch it.
If you catch it.
So as I'm watching this interview, bro, I had to literally, if y'all want to know, I take notes. I take notes. I write stuff down. And one thing that I did was I found out that both of them are right. If you, in Brian's defense, can actually catch it at stage 1, for sure, you can stop it. You have a higher chance of beating it. Stage 4 is the worst. But here's what happens. And I had to do this. I had to literally go look this up, bro. And I'm going to give you all the sources. The sources: American Cancer Society, Monroe Dunway Cancer Center. That's out in, Texas. That's University of Texas. Hook 'em horns, right? The Journal of the Medical Association, and the National Cancer Institute. What happens is it gets misdiagnosed. They don't. It's like this. You don't hit these youngins with grim diagnosis at all. So it's misdiagnosed from the jump. So it's like, oh, bro, hey, your car, it's shaking. It's shaking. And you see, like, oh, shit, it's your motor mount. But they don't really know because they ain't really looked under the hood. So they think it's something like a timing belt. The timing belt's messed up for sure. But the motor mount is really what's messing up everything. And so what happens is the doctors are not necessarily looking for it. So it's really on how the approach from the doctors are. Because the science says early detection for sure. But what it also says is that, bro, they don't catch this shit. They misdiagnose it every time. But let's continue on.
Ask my dad how many times he told us to go to the doctor. Ask my father how often he cared about any of those types of things. It was preventable, right? What did you do to help?
He said y'all didn't have health care. He didn't say why, but he said you all didn't have health care. And basically, what I heard from it, I don't want to put words in his mouth, was almost that y'all were irresponsible, that you didn't have health coverage, and so you didn't go to the doctor, and that's why.
See, those for me are the petty comments that at this point, it absolutely belittles the amount of work that my daughter did.
Oh my God.
Once the diagnosis was made. You can't just toss out that he was that sick. Nico had multiple things that started to happen with him as a result of being stage 4 at his diagnosis. And
needing immediate care.
And needed
immediate emergency
care.
Surgeries.
Surgery after my
it hurts.
After to hear at the point where you want to say that we, because of you, are going to not, me as a mother, am going to purposely not care for my son to work your nerves? Who are you? Who are you? And then to hear that you want to talk about disrespect
exactly.
to my daughter, to his wife,
and to Nico,
to my That's exactly what to Nico. And the last thing that anyone will remember of my son are any of the things that he wants to talk about.
Period.
Any of the things that he wants to talk about, that will not be my child's memory. It will not. Yeah. It will constantly be that he was a good man. Constantly be he was the best. He was he's amazing husband, son, talented, one of the top photographers in the game. Talk about that, man.
Genius.
Talk about that.
Genius level.
Genius. Talk about that. You want to talk about that his life and the consistency of it and the totality of it is that he passed away from cancer and no one helped him. That is not the truth. I have no reason.
It's despicable.
It's
evil.
It's evil. It's evil. And that
it's evil
at this moment.
To now act like you're holy in some way. I'm not rocking with it.
So what she's essentially saying is that she wants her son's memory to be all of these positive things. That's fine. And what it sounds like, and I'm just going to be fair to her, is that you're not understanding where he's coming from because too many times we often can only look at ourselves. She's not wrong. Look, my daughter, whatever, she was taking care of him. She needs her praise. For sure. My son was an awesome father. All of this stuff. For sure. And then some. Because at the end of the day, that's still a grieving mother. She had to bury her child. No matter how old he got, no matter the kids he had, no matter the lifestyle that he lived, it's still her child. The mother's love is way different than the father's love. And that's what this whole entire video is going to be about. Because what the other son that's sitting there, bro, he didn't make the damn interview any better. You sounded immensely entitled. And when you watch the Brian McKnight interview, bro, shout out Anton Daniels for it. He sounds just like Brian McKnight described him. Just gonna be fair. The level of entitlement that these youngins have, bro, is crazy, right? It's the Nepo baby syndrome. And if you don't know what Nepo babies is, it means basically you got your position, you got your spot in life due to the work of your parents, not them passing shit down. Basically, them being them. Not from the hard work you might have learned from them. It's not like saying, hey, bro, you probably one of the dopest mechanics out here, and you taught your son the game, so it makes sense that your son would be one of the dopest mechanics. So, yeah, no, it's like, oh, this your daddy. He gave you the shop. You don't know how to build no damn cars. So how the hell you going to come in here and tell me what to do? The son came off as very entitled. And I get it. It's a lot of pain that they're dealing with. They still have to deal with this pain to this day. And to relive this experience is insanity. But at the same time, I understand it where she's coming from. You want us to understand this. When your son was on his way out, it happened fast. That's what stage 4 is. It's accelerated. It's shit. You're on your way out, you get a death day. And even then, they're only doing it with the positive. So, shit, yeah, I 100% understand. But there's also two sides of the coin. Because as y'all said, you don't want your son's legacy to be this, but you had no problem tearing down Brian McKnight's legacy. And I'm going to say this before we get this video started. Brian McKnight must have had to have known the stance that he was going to take was not going to do him any favors. So let's see if he even figures this shit out. There's a couple of clips, probably jump in once or twice, but let's go.
To me, I'd be like, well, he wasn't so great to me. You can have him. Mm-hmm. Like what, my mother loved my father to the day she died, but she went to her maiden name when they got divorced. My father got remarried. He's been married for 40 years.
Yeah.
This is a cycle that continues to happen. And I can't speak for everybody else's situation. The saddest part of this is that the younger one ended up dying.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. How do you feel about that? Because a lot of people make a big deal about, if we just being transparent about, posts right. that you may make on the anniversary of the passing.
Yeah. God's timing.
One thing that you noticed about Brian McKnight is he believes he's his father. Like, The more you watch, like the more you're going to watch, the more you're going to hear the comparison to his father, and then you understand what the God timing thing meant. His dad was a pastor, right? So you have that. Not only do you have that, his father basically laid out the blueprint for him. But here's the worst part of everything Brian McKnight just said. It's what he didn't say. He said his damn son's name. You turn around and said the younger one. That's cold. Real cold, bro. Real damn cold. It's tone deaf. People who are around him, bro, you can tell they kissing his ass. Because that ain't no shit you should say. Somebody should have jumped in there and been like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, bro, hold on. Time out. I get the authenticity, bro. But consider how this is going to come off, because it's going to take away from your ultimate message. Let's continue on.
That was the day that the judge told us what the amount was.
Oh, okay. So it didn't have anything to do with...
It had nothing to do with that. But I will say this. I believe it's God's timing, because Anton, he did not have to die.
Why do you say that?
When we talked, and we did talk to him, we talked to his wife. We got to go back. So earlier that year, that May, he's on the Shade Room. He's saying things like, oh, now remember, they've lied on me, but they continue to double down and triple down on the rhetoric. If my dad needed this, I wouldn't do this for him. He's dead to me, blah, blah, blah. Now we come to find out that 3 days after that's when he got diagnosed. They waited because he didn't have insurance. Mm-hmm. They waited 4 months to let us know.
After they found out that he was actually...
They waited 4 months.
So he could have...
According to all statistics, 91% of colon cancer diagnoses that are caught early are curable.
Right.
From the time he got diagnosed to the time we found out, because they didn't tell us. I had to find out from somebody else.
Right.
Then I heard from them.
So were you the last?
We were the last to find out.
Wow.
So once we found out, we sprung into action. What can we do? Can we get the scans? Can we do this? Can we do that? Anton, by this time, it was stage 4.
That's crazy.
Stage 4. So you've lied on me. Right. You don't come to me. In my opinion, they martyred him so that they could keep this going.
That's deep. That's really deep.
That's what I truly believe.
Yeah.
Everybody's heard that voicemail. I will leave with you the messages that we sent. Leilani sent a message that said to his wife, you don't even have to tell him that it's us. We just want to help whatever we can do. And then they're like, well, he would have had to stay at your house and they wouldn't have been able to see him. I'm like, we never made that a stipulation. Mm-hmm. The facility that we found, that the only one that would allow him to come was closer to our house.
Right.
That's why we have an entire apartment downstairs with its own entrance. His wife wouldn't have to work. You can take care of him all day. Leilani wanted to take care of him. And his mother sent that message after we sent the message to him.
That's insane.
This is what happened. So and it gets worse.
So far, depending on what you're typing, it's all going to go to likability and your relationship that you have with your kids, or your kids have with you, or you have with your parents, or your parents have with you. Because I 100% get what he's saying. He's saying basically this, bruh, y'all only doing this shit because y'all want to bring me down with this stuff and my son is gone. If we gonna get past anything, stop doing this shit. Just gonna be fair, square, obvious, and honest. And it's even more crazier because I went and did some deep researching on this shit. Brian McKnight's daughter sued him for $318,000. Well, actually sued him for $1 million out of a life insurance policy that she had, including defamation. The policy was worth $318,000 or $300,000, and then $18,000 came from the interest on that, right? So that ends up happening. But what ends up being a thing is the defamation was because Brian McKnight said that she was hunching on her cousin, and she said that was defamatory. But in the settlement, which she was entitled to the money, he didn't have to apologize for none of that shit. And he's still running around saying that. And Brian McKnight saying, bro, if I was lying, why didn't y'all tell me to apologize for that and stop saying that shit? Just gonna be fair. So Brian McKnight also says, and he has pictures to back this shit up, we was all cool at one point in time. Y'all kept on wanting money and trying to get famous off of me. And I'm gonna be fair. He has the damn proof. Terrible to say, but shit. Damn. But he's still tone deaf, bro. Because as a father, you had to just bear that. You just have to. You just had to. Because when you say things and you can't say your son's name, horrible. But now he's saying it gets worse because he wasn't in on the process. And when we first got this story years ago, it sounded like they was just trying to get money, and keep him out. Not have him be a part of it. You want his resources, but you don't want him to be part of the solution. When you say, I try to get scans and all this stuff and everything and all that, it's crazy. But listen to what he says, and this shit will blow your mind.
So she puts out the book in January. She's on an interview, I think in February, with Foxy 104.5, whatever, in Raleigh. They ask him how he's doing. She says he's healed. He's healing and he's doing fine. He's doing great. Now, I realize they blocked us all on social media. We don't know what's going on with them. The next thing we know, he's passed.
Wow.
That message that I played for everybody was 20 months before he passed away. That was not near the end. It was still when something could be done at the very least to make him more comfortable. But you see, they ran out there immediately and said, he never spoke to him. He didn't come to him. Here's all these messages on Twitter. I deactivated my Twitter 4 years ago or something like that. I don't know. They didn't tag me. Nobody could call. Everybody's got my number. So they could say, he didn't even, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Last I heard, you said he was doing great.
One of the darkest and coldest and most disheartening memories of my life is the day my brother calls me sobbing with all that he's going through, looking death in the eye, to tell me I'm right about telling him not to call my father. Because I knew what was going to happen. Because I knew where my dad was. I told him, man, the dad is gone. Dad's gone. All my brother wanted and needed, asked for, was my father to tell him that he loves him. And my brother responds to him, my father responds to my brother that I can't arbitrarily say that I love you.
Right.
But this is the man that wanted to help him?
Yes, people heard the voicemail, but they have no idea that as a mom, standing in the room with my son on speaker with his wife and hearing how belittling his father talked to him. If the first comment out of his mouth was, I don't appreciate the way you're treating my new family, who gives a damn, man?
I can say this. I can say this. I get where Brian McKnight is coming from wholeheartedly, but he's still wrong. Brian McKnight, you are moving out of anger, bro. I went back and I watched you in 2019, and I watched how you said y'all had a blended family from the beginning. And you basically said that your youngest son is going to be your legacy, which means in a certain instance, you have to know the parts of your kids' lives that you missed affected them in the long run. And to acknowledge that would make you fallible. And that's where nobody can agree with Brian McKnight. But also, if you're on the other side of this and you can't understand, that man is hurt. So much that he had to pour into religion and just accept that this is God's will. Because if we were to take the anger out of it, right? And if we were to essentially say Brian McKnight and his first wife were together and a happy family and all of this shit, and Brian McKnight came off more positive and more loving and was a father figure for millions of people, and he would have said that exact same sentence, y'all would have cheered that man on. I get it. Emotions. This is what we've come to. But for others to sit here and act like he ain't got a point, you dead ass wrong. You just are. He does. Those children weren't trying to use him for his money. They were. Why wouldn't they? Like, bro, my daddy, they don't have any concept. Like, bro, y'all, like, a lot of these people, a lot of these individuals, these parents that grow up affluent in money, they forget financial literacy and financial discipline that they're supposed to, not even discipline, financial habits that they're supposed to impose upon their children. I know when mine hit me and they want money, they gotta go off a whole laundry list before I give them $1. Why? Because you're not about to burn money on bullshit. Because if you don't learn these habits that you're going to have, you're going to pick up the wrong habits. You're going to learn the right habits, and you're going to work on my program because I'm your employer. You're my employee as far as when it goes for money. A lot of people don't want to tell their kids no, and you can kind of tell that within the mom. So what you guys have done, you've gotten rid of your father. And I hate to say it this way, move on. You guys want to paint the son's legacy and all this shit, but you want to drag the father down? And granted, they're defending themselves, but we watched this shit go on for 6+ years. Next year in April to make it 7. While your son Nico was alive. Which tells me y'all been fell out. This shit been dead before your son died. Nobody just cared to admit it. I really think it has to do with the mother casting her anger down to her children and Brian McKnight not understanding, bruh, you play a big ass part in this shit too, because whatever she expected of you, you weren't that. And that's a hard pill to swallow. Even if her expectations was that you just hand it all over. Not saying that that's true, but it is what it is. Share to keep your people aware. Subscribe, turn on the bell, stay notified. Click right here to see how Academics and Mano, their word words just cranked up to level 10 and shit getting crazy. Or click right here for the playlist, and I'll catch you on the next one. Reloaded.